Hi everyone and welcome. In today's news, we're going to explore significant stories making headlines. First, there's a viral claim suggesting that unemployed Americans will be required to work for free as part of a new government program. On the topic of the economy, President Trump has repeatedly attempted to downplay fears of a recession, despite growing concerns among economists and citizens alike. Lastly, in the realm of entertainment, rapper Ye recently made headlines by revealing in an interview that he considered marrying Paris Hilton instead of his ex-wife, Kim Kardashian. Let's begin. The claim that unemployed Americans will be required to work for free under a new government program has gained significant traction online, particularly on platforms like X, formerly known as Twitter. One widely shared post from a user called @ShadowOfTheWest stated, "Unemployed Americans will be forced to work for free in a new program to get benefits. This is modern slavery." But is there any truth to these alarming statements? Our investigation reveals that no federal legislation or executive order currently mandates that all unemployed Americans must work without compensation to receive benefits. To understand the origin of these rumors, we need to examine several existing programs that might have been misconstrued. Workfare has existed in various forms in the United States for decades. Under the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families (TANF) program established in 1996, recipients are often required to engage in work-related activities such as job training, community service, or subsidized employment to receive benefits. However, these activities are typically structured to comply with minimum wage laws or provide stipends. Some states have also experimented with work requirements for unemployment insurance, particularly following the COVID-19 pandemic. These generally involve job-seeking activities rather than unpaid labor. Political context may also be fueling these claims. The second Trump administration, which began in January 2025, has historically advocated for stricter work requirements for public assistance programs. Some posts on X have speculated about potential policies being planned, though no evidence suggests the US is adopting anything resembling forced unpaid labor. The economic landscape adds another dimension to these concerns. As of May 2025, the US economy faces challenges including job growth concerns, inflation, and automation fears. The unemployment rate was reported at approximately 4.2% in late 2024, relatively low by historical standards, but underemployment and increased reliance on the gig economy have created perceptions of economic instability. Some social media users have drawn comparisons to the United Kingdom's controversial workfare program, which required welfare recipients to work unpaid for private companies. Critics liken this to forced labor, and some have warned that similar programs could be implemented in the US. However, our investigation found no evidence supporting this claim. Historical precedents like the Works Progress Administration (WPA) during the Great Depression have been cited in discussions about government work programs. Unlike the forced free work claim circulating today, these programs were voluntary and compensated, though critics argued they exploited desperate workers with low wages. Public reaction to these claims has been divided. Some users express genuine concern based on distrust in government and personal experiences with welfare bureaucracy. Others, like user @TruthSeeker22, have demanded evidence, writing, "Show me the bill or EO that says this. Sounds like fearmongering to me." To avoid being misled by such claims, experts recommend verifying information through primary sources such as government websites like the Department of Labor, understanding the context of existing work requirements, and approaching sensational claims with a critical eye, especially those lacking specific details or evidence. As economic concerns dominate public discourse, let's turn to the White House, where President Trump has been addressing fears of a potential recession. President Donald Trump has consistently downplayed concerns about a potential US recession, emphasizing long-term economic optimism, despite signs of market turbulence. His statements come as economists debate the impact of his tariff policies on the American economy. Since taking office in January 2025, President Trump has framed economic challenges as part of a transition period necessary to achieve his vision of a revitalized American economy. This message was clear during his March 9th interview on Fox News, where he declined to rule out a recession but dismissed its likelihood.
Look, everything's okay. What we are, I said, this is a transition period. I think we're going to do fantastically.
This optimism comes against a backdrop of concerning economic indicators. The Atlanta Federal Reserve's GDP Now forecast for Q1 2025 projected a negative 2.4% annualized growth rate, signaling potential economic contraction. Official data later confirmed that the U.S. economy shrank in the first quarter of 2025, driven largely by a surge in imports as businesses stocked up before tariffs took effect. Consumer confidence has also wavered, with the Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index falling for 5 consecutive months through March 2025. Tariffs have overtaken inflation as a top consumer concern, and expectations about the job market reached their lowest point since 2009. The stock market has responded with volatility. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped about 2% on March 10, 2025, erasing gains since Trump's inauguration, while the Nasdaq fell 4%. By April 30, 2025, the S&P 500 was down 7.3% from Inauguration Day, marking the worst market performance at the start of a presidency since the 1970s. Central to economic concerns are President Trump's tariff policies. He has imposed a 10% baseline tariff on all U.S. imports, with higher rates on specific countries, including 145% on China and 25% on Canadian and Mexican steel and aluminum. Trump argues these measures protect U.S. industries and boost domestic manufacturing.
And that's my question,
Remember
the
this.
long term.
Yeah.
Is it okay in the short term to have a recession?
This. Look, yeah, everything's okay.
Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has echoed the president's optimism, asserting on Meet the Press that there's going to be no recession in America and that tariffs will drive growth. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent acknowledged short-term economic detox due to reduced government spending, but expressed confidence in long-term growth. Economists remain divided on the likelihood and potential impact of a recession. Mark Zandi of Moody's Analytics warned that tariffs are actively courting a downturn, while Paul Donovan of UBS Global Wealth Management described tariffs as hacking off one of America's limbs, predicting a likely U.S. and global recession if they persist. JP Morgan has increased its recession probability to 40% from 30%, while Moody's Analytics' Mark Zandi raised his estimate from 15% to 35%, citing tariffs as a key risk. Other economists like Holger Schmieding note that a firm labor market, falling energy prices, and potential tax cuts reduce immediate recession risks. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell has acknowledged increased recession risks, but maintained that the economy remains in a good place. Trump has criticized Powell, urging rate cuts to offset tariff impacts, a stance he reiterated in an April 21, 2025 post on X. As economic discussions continue, Americans are advised to monitor key indicators and prepare for potential volatility while remaining attentive to policy adjustments, particularly regarding tariffs. Moving from economic headlines to entertainment news, controversial rapper Kanye West has once again stirred up public reaction with provocative comments about his ex-wife and her former employer. Rapper Kanye West, legally known as Ye, sparked significant controversy with remarks suggesting he regretted having children with Kim Kardashian and should have instead had children with Paris Hilton. These comments, made during a brief Twitch livestream, have generated widespread reaction and added to West's growing list of provocative public statements. On April 25, 2025, Kanye West participated in a 7-minute Twitch livestream hosted by producer Digital Nas. During this brief appearance, West made several controversial statements, most notably expressing regret about having children with his ex-wife Kim Kardashian instead of her former employer Paris Hilton.
When, Kim was Paris Hilton's assistant, I should have had babies with Paris Hilton over Kim Kardashian. You guys, could you imagine if I had kids with Paris Hilton, how many hotels I have now? You get what I'm saying? Think about that. Think about that.
In the livestream, West focused on what he perceived as the potential business benefits of a hypothetical relationship with Hilton, emphasizing her connection to the Hilton hotel empire and suggesting it would have enhanced his wealth and status.
Think about that, the Hilton. The Hilton. Because I think y'all staying in a Hilton right now. The Edition Hotels is a Hilton. You know what I'm saying? And Paris Hilton had the vision, and then that's what happened.
West continued by comparing Kardashian to the late fashion designer Virgil Abloh, referring to her as Paris Hilton's Virgil. He also made a controversial comparison to Arnold Schwarzenegger's affair with his housekeeper, stating,
Kim was like the Virgil. Kim was like Paris Hilton's Virgil. And that's what happened. If you like Arnold Schwarzenegger and you have a kid with a nanny, the nanny only power is to take your kids.
The live stream was quickly terminated, with Twitch banning West's channel within 10 minutes due to violations of its community guidelines. Reports indicate the ban may have also been related to other controversial content during the stream, including an alleged Hitler salute. West's comments reference the well-documented history between Kardashian and Hilton. In the early 2000s, before becoming a global celebrity in her own right, Kardashian worked as Hilton's stylist and assistant, organizing her closet and making minor appearances on Hilton's reality show, The Simple Life. The remarks come amid ongoing tensions between West and Kardashian following their divorce, which was finalized in November 2022. West has publicly claimed that Kardashian restricts his access to their 4 children: North 11, Saint 9, Chicago 7, and Psalm 5, allegations she has denied, stating he can see them anytime under stable conditions. Public reaction to West's comments has been largely negative. Many fans expressed dismay, particularly for West's children, who might be affected by their father's public disparagement of their mother. One social media user commented, "I feel bad for his kids," while others defended Kardashian, noting her $1.7 billion net worth compared to Hilton's $300 million and her success as a businesswoman and mother. Some observers pointed out that Hilton, who is married to Carter Room and has 2 children of her own, would likely have no interest in West's hypothetical scenario. One comment read, "As if Paris Hilton would touch him with a 10-foot pole, especially nowadays." Neither Hilton nor Kardashian has publicly responded to West's remarks. Hilton has continued with her professional endeavors, including a DJ set with Lizzo at the Stagecoach Festival and the launch of a new perfume line, apparently unfazed by the controversy. The Twitch incident is just one in a series of controversial actions by West in recent months. Earlier this year, his account on X was temporarily shadow banned and later deactivated following anti-Semitic posts. In April, he also made headlines for a series of posts about his ongoing custody dispute with Kardashian and for revealing disturbing personal information about a childhood experience. As of now, West has not clarified or apologized for his comments about Hilton and Kardashian.